Welcome to the Killer Author Club. 3 best-selling authors talking about killer, of the fictional kind, with the best thriller and suspense authors in the business. Killer conversations, killer cocktails, and killer guests, with your hosts, Kimberly Bell, Heather Gutenkopf, and Kara Ruda. This is the Killer Author Club.
Hello and welcome to the Killer Author Club, your favorite haunt where fictional murder is encouraged, alibis are optional, and the hemlock is always in bloom. Before we officially welcome tonight's guests into the club, it's time for a new little segment we're calling Killer Instinct. So Daniel and Kathleen, no overthinking, no consulting your co-conspirator, just answers short, sweet, and deadly.
Okay.
Beach house or mountain cabin?
Beach house.
Beach house. We live at the beach.
We do.
So definitely.
I'm jealous of that. Plot twist or unreliable narrator?
Ooh, plot twist.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with plot
Yeah.
twist.
Outline every chapter or discover the story as you go.
Ooh, is a mix okay?
Yeah, or how about somebody else writes it for me and I'm totally amazed. Yeah, Plancer. Plancer.
Okay. Right at sunrise or right at midnight?
Midnight. Always.
Midnight. Definitely
Wow.
midnight.
Perfect marriage or toxic marriage?
Ooh, toxic.
Well, why?
Good for books.
Why do you want?
Not
I don't know.
really.
Question
okay.
for an author duo.
Yeah, I just want the perfect marriage. I'm tired of conflict.
Just in their stories.
And murder?
Yeah. Family secrets or neighborhood secrets.
We're neighborhood.
We're neighborhood, yeah.
Yeah, we like your good
Yeah.
neighborhood secrets.
It's fun.
Yeah. Characters you love or a character you love to torment?
Oh, I think love. That's how I am.
Yeah, we're lovers,
We
not
are.
fighters. That's
No.
why our books are soft, or
They're a
they're
little
not. They're
softer.
not as like hard edged as some of the dark noir.
There's thrills, but there's a lot of heart and soul in
Yeah,
there too.
we're lovers, not fighters.
I love it. All right, last one. 1 giant twist or 10 smaller ones?
Ooh, I think 10 smaller ones is more fun.
Yeah,
That's my opinion.
I'm go big or go home. 1 giant twist, just go, like blow your mind.
Oh,
Wasn't
there's
gonna be
conflict.
Yeah.
There is, I know.
Yes. Well, Danielle and Kathleen, you survived the first test, but wait until you see what else we have in store for you. I'm Killer
Okay.
Heather. Daniel, you are.
Oh,
It's not
I'm
quiet.
Killer Daniel.
I'm Killer Kathleen.
Well, you got to lean in though
Oh,
and say
Killer
that.
Kathleen here.
And I'm Killer Kara Ruda.
And I'm Killer Kimberly Bell.
So for everything we mentioned tonight, from giveaway to bonus, podcast content to future guests, they can all be found at killerauthorclub.com or on our social media pages. So now let's get to the killing fictional. Kara, you want to do the honors and introduce our killer guests?
I'd love to from my palm tree laden room. Here I am. Okay, tonight's show features 2 particularly dangerous individuals. Daniel Palmer is the author of 15 acclaimed suspense novels. Kathleen Miller is an artist, gallery owner, and now his partner in literary crime. Together they write as Jamie Day, authors of the best-selling The Block Party and the brand new Beach Thriller. Daniel and Kathleen, give us your best elevator pitch. Why should readers clear space in their beach bag for a beach thriller this summer?
Well, if you're interested in summer-themed suspense with gothic undertones, a little humor sprinkled throughout, family secrets, and I would say relationships gone awry, both family relationships and newfound family relationships, a lot of chaos, and a big surprise with creeping dread also kind of in the sprinkle throughout the story as well. I think it's a fun mix of thrills, humor, heart, and adventure in a gothic beach setting. So has a lot for a lot of different types of readers.
Agree. Okay, readers, drop your questions in the comments. We'll be watching for great ones throughout the show. But first, Kimberly, what are we drinking?
Well, tonight's drink is a situationship on the beach. Daniel and Kathleen, please tell us why you've chosen this as your drink tonight.
Yeah. Do you want to take the situationship? Or do you want me to explain?
I mean, essentially, it's a beach thriller, so Sex on the Beach came to mind immediately, and we have some interesting situationships in the book. And so we thought it would be kind of clever to do a little play on that. And essentially, the drink would be the Sex on the Beach, but add bitters and ghost pepper extract.
Oh, that's right.
I don't think the situationship on the beach exists, and I think it should. I think we have to make it a modern. And now the newest trend
now I'm drinking wine,
is wildflowering. Have you heard about this trend?
No.
This is where you just let it go and let it grow. No expectations. No. Nothing set in stone. You just wildflower the relationship. So that'll be our next cocktail for the next book.
You're up on the lingo. You know what the kids are talking about.
There's a lot of Gen Z characters that show up in the Jamie Day books. We almost always have paired them with a younger person and an older person, so like a Gen X or a millennial with a Gen Z. And so I have a daughter, Gen Z daughter, so she keeps me on my toes. I always kind of learn what
she does.
I'll do that.
Love it. Love it.
All
So,
right. Well, cheers, guys.
cheers.
Cheers.
Congratulations on another great.
Thank you. We're drinking wine. We're not drinking a situationship on the beach. We should actually warn anybody watching this. I wouldn't make the situationship on the beach. It can literally harm you. I think it's actually dangerous. So I would skip it entirely. It's metaphorical.
Just drink wine.
But it's perfect for this book. It's perfect for this book. Yes. So we created the Killer Author Club so readers could get up close and personal with their favorite thriller writers. Our upcoming lineup is stacked with amazing killers like Jessica Knoll, Andrea Bartz, Dervla McTiernan, Noelle Ely, Eric LaSalle, and so many more. But tonight it's all about beach thriller, and here's what some of Jamie Day's early reviewers had to say about the book. Peter Swanson says, Day is a master plotter, the twists piling up like waves on a shore, but also a born entertainer. Our very own Killer Kara says, Jamie Day turns a postcard perfect seaside town into a pressure cooker of guilt, buried truths, and quiet menace. And our very own Kimberly, Killer Kimberly says, twisty, taut, and laced with unease, this is a seaside suspense story with teeth. Totally agree. Not bad, but we want to hear from the people responsible. And it's time for tonight's killer question. Who do you kill? Why do you kill?
Why do we kill? Well, I'll be honest. I started out not killing in my career. I started out writing romantic comedy, from the guy's point of view. So I was trying to write a combination of Nick Hornby's High Fidelity meets Bridget Jones's Diary. And that's just the stuff that I gravitated towards. And I found out that I enjoyed writing. I had never tried writing a book before. I was a musician and a songwriter, but never tried a novel. And I enjoyed the process, and I wanted to continue doing it. The problem is that romance books, they didn't really, back then at least, they didn't really have a market for readers if it was from the guy's point of view. No romance readers seemed interested in the book. So the reason I kill personally is because I wanted to publish a book and nobody was going to buy my romance. So I'm like, well, I'll just start killing people and let's see if somebody will buy that. And I wrote a book that, again, I couldn't sell it because I wrote the character just wasn't a very likable character. And I did that intentionally. And I got feedback from the 40-something rejections. I can't even count how many there were, but they all said the same thing, that I could write. I had that kind of talent for writing, but the character was just too unlikable. And so a buddy of mine suggested that I I give the character a dog. And so I went back to the manuscript and I added a dog, and that was all I did. I gave the dog a name, a couple little characteristics that the dog did, and resubmitted the book, and I got a 3-book contract, really thanks to that dog. And so I've been writing and killing ever since. And then I dragged Kathleen. She was not a killer. She's a painter.
But I was an obsessive mystery reader and thriller reader. Like, there always has to be a body in a book, almost always, for me to really dig my teeth into. Something about this, it kind of raises the stakes. There's something,
Well,
Yeah, Peter does that.
but then, you know, just recently we're watching. We've never seen Mad Men. I'm gonna
Okay, all right, that's fine. Yeah. No secrets.
So we're watching Mad Men, and I'm in. I'm totally into the show. I really love the show. I love John Hamm. I think he's incredible. The writing, I think, is incredible. There's a lot of smoking. I'm a little like I leave the show feeling like my lungs are heavy. But Kathleen's like, there's no body. Where's the body?
It's a little more driver to it. I don't know. Like, leaves me hanging.
So yeah, sweet as can be, and a little dark and twisted in there. So we brought with Jamie, we've brought the bodies, but we've also brought the kind of the humor, social satire, and trying to kind of not make it super dark, but actually we cover a lot of dark themes. So we get a lot of nasty in there, but you don't even realize it's as nasty as it is until it's done.
I like that. Okay, wait, we've got a couple of questions along the same line. So how do you split the writing between the two of you? Sue wants to know. And then Linda said the same thing. How does tandem writing work?
You know, it evolves, and we don't go about it in a very structured way exactly. It's very organic. So, and Daniel, having been a writer for so long, especially in the beginning, would do the bulk of the first draft. I would do pieces of the first draft, but we would have plotted the book together from the beginning, planned all the characters together. And then, of course, as you write, those characters grow and unfold, and you're like, oh, what if they do this? That's why we like the plotter and pantser together. But we tend to send documents back and forth and be in them at this, like, we just kind of
so
live together, work together.
Yes, we live together and work together. So that's been great, I think. But I'll add to that, the writing, the writing is obviously it's an important part, but the character work is essential. I think that people will say they read a book because they want to know what happens, but really they read a book because they have grown to care about the characters. And what Kathleen has done for these books, I think, is enormous, because she really understands. So not only is she an oil painter, she also has a master's degree in mental health counseling. And so she understands people and motivations. And so we take our dog walks. We have 3 dogs, and they're all aging, and they're all insane. So we have 3 insane dogs. And so we take our dogs, we walk by the beach, and we talk and talk and talk and talk and plot out the books. And then, sometimes, honestly, I'm like, what part of this did I come up with? I've been a writer 15, 18, I don't even know how many books I've written. And then sometimes the answer is none. Kathleen came up with all of it, but that's fine. And then a lot of times if I do a lot of the drafting and the writing and try to get, I'm a little crazy. My humor gets in the books a lot. But then, Kathleen's in there in Google. We use Google.
We do Google Docs because we can both sign in. Yeah, and we can. Yeah.
And so we're working simultaneously, and I watch her rip apart what I've done.
He handles it really well. It's amazing.
Super well. I'm not attached to the words. Honestly, this is true. I'm not attached to the words. I'm attached to the emotion. If the emotion isn't working, then that needs to be fixed. And Kat is an awesome barometer for the emotion. So is it working? Is the sentence working? Is the scene working? Is the paragraph working? Whatever it is, if the emotion isn't there, that's what we want to know.
I feel like that's where the whole plot comes from. As soon as we start to feel the character, then you start to really feel the interpersonal relationships, how they kind of what mistakes they've made, what mistakes they're going to make, like how we're going to kind of tease all of that out and where it leads to.
Right.
So.
But here's one other thing that you may be surprised about, and you would know this, killers, because you're all pros, which is this just isn't easy. It's not an easy job. It's not easy to be good at this job. It's not easy to be published. Sorry about that little ding on my computer. I don't know how to shut that off. Well,
does that work for them?
No, because then I think they can't hear us anymore if we do that. Okay. Sorry about the ding.
We're just making sure people stay awake. Ding.
Yeah. But everybody knows that it's really hard to just do the job in general. And so the thing that surprised me about Kathleen when she got involved, not only was she great with the ideas, and we had so much fun coming up with the ideas together, she can write. She gets it. I don't know how she gets it. She never really was, trained or.
No, I mean, I used to write, and I did take some creative writing in college, but I went in a whole other direction. So I've always had a passion for it, but I really, didn't cultivate that the way everybody here, has done that.
Yeah.
So it's.
Kathleen, I was a reader first. I didn't.
Yeah, same. I was going to say, I think every writer starts out as a reader.
You have to, right? Or I think so. But well.
It was a disaster. I read like Tarzan and Stephen King, but I was a songwriter.
Yeah.
And so I was not that like born, booking. I had a hard time focusing as well.
I think with you though, you're a born entertainer. It goes into, even Peter Swanson said that in that little snippet. I think that you're a consumer of story, you're a creator of story. So it's not just the writing, it's just you have a way of captivating people with your humor and personality, and you connect.
Yeah,
and so that translates into writing.
It's called overwhelming. I just sort of like come at you like this force, and you're like, I can't even look away, and then you're just stuck with me. But now I feel like it's been a great tandem, and honestly, I just don't think the Jamie Day books work unless it is this partnership, and so I'm just really happy that we're able to do this, that the publisher supports it, that the readers seem to really like it, because it's a unique genre. It's very hard to pinpoint what these books are. It's not a traditional thriller. It's not a traditional mystery. Somebody wrote on Instagram today that it's like combining Ellen Hildebrand with Frida McFadden. And I thought that was cool, but also that start from Harlan Coben and some of the bones of Sally Hepworth. Like we're kind of taking all of that and squishing it together and putting it into a summer themed story. So we're just grateful so many people have come along for the ride.
Well, it's been so much fun, and we love the book. We love the book. So there's so many great elements to the book. There's crumbling beach houses, buried secrets, psychics, cold cases, a watcher. Which element came first for you? Of all those different.
The story. We'll give you a little insight into sometimes how it works for us. So we have a very close relationship with our editor, who we adore and love. And she said to us, "I'd like you to write a book called Beach Thriller."
It's a great title.
It is a great title.
She just said, "I want you to write a book called Beach Thriller." And I might have said, let's make it about a writer, but I don't know.
I think that was Jen. Actually.
Okay, that was Jen, not me.
I'm not positive.
I know that I'm gonna have an idea in here that was mine at some point.
You might have said that, and then she really jumped on it. So I take that back.
I think it was Jen. I think you're right. Okay. Next idea. So Jen said, Beach Thriller, and I want it to be about a writer. Which immediately, once you think writer, you immediately think book. Let's have her writing a book.
Yep.
And then the beach house. I don't know where the beach house came from.
Yeah. Well, I'm not sure either. We just kind of came up with like a setting. We didn't want her to be just vacationing, so we had to come up with why she's coming to town, but it's not just for a vacation. So it just sort of evolved to, there's this house that was in her family, and she's coming to stay, and after this, like the rest of her life is falling apart. So that was just sort of evolved because we didn't want her to be at an Airbnb. You know, we wanted
Right.
her to have like roots in this town and a history in this town.
Oh, and the
So-
other thing we wanted was community to be kind of found.
Yeah.
So we wanted the community to sort of evolve as she was showing up to town. You meet the realtor, then you meet this psychic, and then you meet this busker who is not based on a real person at all. The busker is absolutely, positively fictional. I'm just
I
saying that.
feel like it's based on a
according
real
to my
person.
lawyer, that is, I'm not going to read the lawyer's actual statement, but I'm just letting you know, completely fictional. So found community was a big part, and then
And we it's somewhat influenced or inspired by where we live, like the area. So we pulled a lot from even some of like the architecture in the area, and you know the different some different interactions in the community. So
Right.
we definitely pulled from reality and realized all of that.
But then Kat is super. You're into Gothic.
I am.
Anything
Very
with a
much so.
turret. As
Yeah.
soon as there's a turret,
I
she's
need a
in.
turret.
And so you know, we had the crumbling beach house on one side
Yeah.
of the tracks, and then you go to the other side of the tracks, and you have the beautiful castle overlooking the ocean, which is real. Like we
Yes,
have that where
here.
we live.
Yeah.
There's just houses with turrets overlooking the
Amazing.
ocean,
Wow.
and so we kind of built off that.
I love that. That was actually one of our questions because Beauport feels so like real and so atmospheric. It's almost a character. So it was inspired by where you guys live. Are you in New England?
Yes.
Yeah, we're on the coast of New England, in this cute little town. It's actually, I will tell you this, if you're fans of Apple TV's Widow's Bay, I don't know if anybody has seen that show.
It's everywhere. I mean, everybody's talking about it.
Yeah.
And they should talk about it because it's
great.
awesome.
We love it.
We absolutely love it. But they filmed it in our town last year. In fact,
Oh, that's
Kathleen got money.
Yeah, they rented my gallery space for some of the filming, so they filmed like outside, and they did some work inside. It was all like in our little area. So
Now,
I've done that with our house once because we live in Atlanta and it's good money. Like they knocked on our door. They said, "Can we shoot in your yard and in your house?" And I was like,
Oh yeah.
Come on in.
It was so funny watching them make this TV show in our town. I just was like, how does this become a show?
Yeah.
It didn't make any sense to me. It looked completely haphazard. It just looked like people wandering around. I wasn't sure when anybody was doing anything. I didn't really, it just was really hard to understand that these little vignettes, these little moments, 3 seconds, 5 seconds, would get stitched together into an incredibly fun and addictive show. So it was pretty cool to see. We'd rather see our book made into a show. And I know
Amen.
I think you all have stuff going, right? Like, don't you have shows being made of your work right now?
These
I have that
guys,
right?
We're talking about you guys right now, though. So,
All
okay,
right,
guys,
all right.
it is our giveaway time, though. People love this part of the show. Okay, so Daniel and Kathleen are giving away 2 copies of Beach Thriller to lucky U.S. viewers. Doesn't matter where you're watching. We scour the comments. Of course, you have to be in the U.S. Please make sure to shout out where you're from when you answer this really, really tough question. There's a surprise waiting for Holly in the attic of the beach house. What or who it is? No, that's too hard. How about tell us if you're going to go to the beach this summer, yes or no?
Yeah.
I like that one.
Yeah, that was better.
You know what's great is you asked that question. I was like, I don't know if I would get that right. What
We're trying to make our questions easier because we got a little complicated. So that was the original, and then now
I like that. That's a great question. Do you plan to go to the beach this summer?
Exactly. Well, good luck, everybody. The Killers are big fans of independent booksellers, and we want to send them all the support. Daniel and Kathleen have chosen Susie's Stories in Rockport, Massachusetts as their special bookstore tonight. Daniel and Kathleen, tell us why you love this bookstore so much.
It might be the smallest bookstore I've ever been in. It's so well curated. The people who own it are amazing.
Yeah.
We just have developed a relationship with them. We so appreciate everything that they do and what they've managed to do with, I think, less than 100 square feet. Like, it's this tiny little building. It's like a standalone little building, and there's just nothing more quirky and enchanting than that.
Yeah,
So-
it's terrific. The owners are just wonderful people,
Yeah.
and like Kathleen said, you go in and the curation is incredible.
And they have such a passion for what they're doing. So, and we love that because we have so much of that for our writing, for painting, for creating in general. So, just means a lot to support that.
I love it. Well, now I want to go. So I just dropped the link to Susie's stories in the comments for you so you can order Beach Thriller and any others on your list. Tell them we said hi.
Absolutely.
Writers of psychological suspense tend to read with a very particular eye, not just for pleasure, but for craft, inspiration, and occasionally permission to go even darker. So Danielle, and Kathleen, what's currently living on your killer bookshelf?
Oh, yes.
All right. Well, we
Well,
have
they're
a
not
few.
all thriller oriented or killer oriented.
Yeah, somebody dies in that one. There's
We
a
just
fire.
picked this up today when we went to Copper Dog Bookstore, another indie store nearby.
Yes,
So we popped in to sign some books and picked this one up. So we're really excited to check this out.
that's
I
called
also-
what is it? The Children.
The Children, yes, by Melissa Albert.
It's everywhere. I don't know if you've
Everywhere.
seen that book. It's buzzy as can be.
Yep.
I have two. I'll do my killer one first, which is this is what I'm picking up to read right next. Warning Signs, Tracy Sierra. I did a panel with Tracy at the Newburyport Book Festival. This is a book that takes place in Colorado. It deals with avalanche and survival and people being hunted by people. So everything I love. I mean, what's not to love about that?
If you're too hot at the beach, grab that one. Yeah.
And then this is maybe a more literary title that I'm reading right now called The Immaculate Conception by Ling Huang, and it's a story about art and culture and kind of the intersection of how artificial intelligence and the creative process are sort of merging in different ways. So this is a beautifully written and very captivating story. So that's also on.
Nice.
But unfortunately, we've been working on a new book, and so a lot of what we've been reading lately
Is our own
is our
words.
own stuff.
Yes.
Oh,
We
I
just
know
said
that
something.
feeling.
Yeah.
Yes, we do, don't we?
Yeah, right?
Oh my gosh.
So
Okay, and
It's a great
speaking of fabulous books, we have two new releases to celebrate tonight. First, we have Marion by Leah Rowan, a twist on Hitchcock's iconic classic Psycho, where the leading lady doesn't die, but instead turns the knife on Norm. Love that. Kicking off a crime spree that turns the silver screen victim into a heroine for our times. That's awesome. Okay, next we have Every Lie I Told by Hilary Davidson. Every Lie I Told is a twisty thriller about the devastating consequences of the lies we tell to protect others and ourselves. Nice. All right, Leah is giving away 2 copies of Marion, and Hilary is giving away several copies of Every Lie I Told. Sorry, all to U.S. viewers. If you want in, tell us in the comments and make sure to let us know where you're from. Oh, and because we're all about shamelessly plugging our own murdery fun, don't miss the Killer's latest reads.
Kara's got We Were Never Friends, a sorority reunion that takes a very, very dark turn.
And speaking of deadly parties, Heather's serving up the perfect host, an over-the-top gender reveal party that explodes in more ways than one.
And Kimberly is taking you on a deadly European getaway to the canals of Amsterdam in the expat affair.
And we want to say a big killer thanks to Book Reporter for sharing the murdery love. Stay up to date on bookish news and events at bookreporter.com.
So Daniel and Kathleen, we have excellent news for you both. You have survived the Killer Author Club. Woo-hoo! You did it. So tell us where our listeners and viewers can find you online or in the real world.
It's Instagram
Yeah.
and
At Jamie Day Books.
yeah.
Yeah.
that's pretty much.
That's really what we're focused
Yeah,
on.
we honestly we started off in the shadows,
We did.
so we did not. This is like we're going public.
Only for the past 6
coming out.
months or so. So really, yeah, even having the Instagram is relatively new.
Yeah, so we're new to social media, promoting
With this
ourselves
name.
and all of that. Even though we have this is our fourth book, we're kind of just getting into the fun, the social media fun. So come on over to jamiedebooks.com or Jamie Day Books on Instagram.
Yes.
We don't even have a website.
No.
We're just Instagram.
That's right.
Okay, well, we're proud to be part of your reveal.
That's our own gender
Your coming
reveal.
out party.
It is a coming out party. All right. Well, thanks for being with us, you guys. We appreciate it. And that's a wrap on tonight's episode. Thanks for hanging out with us, all of you watching. Tonight's show drops Friday as a podcast with bonus content you won't hear here. Find the links to listen and download at killerauthorclub.com. And while you're there, sign up for our newsletter so you're the first to hear all of our killer breaking news, because in Thrillerland, first to know is first to survive. That's clever. Okay, this Thursday, Joshua Moling will be taking over Instagram to tell you all about his latest, Beneath a Broken Sky. Will there be giveaways? Of course. Mark it down and set your reminder now so you don't miss out. And we'll be back in 2 weeks on June 16th with the
1 week.
1 week, sorry. The script's kind of a mess right now for me. I don't know. Or maybe it's me. It's probably me. Okay, with Andy Bartz talking all things The Last Fairy Out. For podcast, bonus content, merchandise, upcoming guests, and all things Killer Author Club, visit killerauthorclub.com. And in the meantime,
Trust no one.
Question everything.
and keep turning pages. Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Thank you.
That does it for tonight's show. Thank you for tuning in. If you'd like to catch our next show live, we're every other Tuesday night on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. For times, upcoming schedule, and to catch up on past episodes, visit us at killerauthorclub.com. Happy reading. Now get on out there and kill that TBR.